Hi, Cindy Tully here, Cindy with two Y's. It's been requested that I tell about many of the exciting and adventuresome, supernatural, spectacular things that I've witnessed in my lifetime and in ministry. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start a series. And today I'm going to talk to you about a Harley Davidson shop. Stay tuned. Alrighty. Well, the year was 2003. I needed to make a relatively quick trip down to Florida, a ministry trip. My mother was able to go with me. That was a very rare thing. She ended up passing away about 5 months after this occurred. So it was a wonderful thing to be able to do that trip together. But like I said, it was kind of a quick trip, so there wasn't a lot of stopping for sightseeing or anything like that. Okay, so we're down in about I don't know, Alabama, the lower part of Georgia, maybe even into Florida at this time. I can't remember exactly where we were when this particular incident occurred, but we were driving not in a city, not in a town. It was out in, the open countryside, you would say, but it was on a divided highway. So we're driving along and not a lot of traffic. And we're mostly seeing, rolling hills and some cattle in the fields and etc. And we kind of came over the top of an incline and started down just a little bit, not a big hill or anything, but off to the right, there was a gravel parking lot, and set back off the road a ways was a Harley Davidson shop. Like you could buy things there. It wasn't a fancy store, mostly where probably Harley Davidsons would be worked on. And I glanced over and noticed it. Now, let me tell you this, a little back history. My husband and I, as we ministered in our church, we would record the messages, and then, and this was at the time of cassette tapes, we would duplicate that message onto cassette tapes and give those out. But we always took them with us on any trip. That was just my mother and I on this trip. But I did have some cassette tapes, copies of a cassette tape of a message that I had ministered about Lillian B. Yeomans. We'll cover Lillian B. Yeomans at another time, but suffice it to say, God did miraculous things through her. All right, so I had a cassette tape copied and with label on the front. We'd done the labels, we copied them ourselves, printed out the labels, put them on, and I had at least one shoebox full, and probably two, I think, full of this cassette tape called Supernatural. And it was about healing and about it being God's will today still to heal, and how miraculous things took place under the ministry of Lillian B. Yeomans. And so I have this shoebox or two full of this cassette tape, Supernatural. I'd passed one out at a convenience store. I'd passed one out. I stopped at a Catholic church and went in and passed one out to the secretary there. I think that was in Florida. But anyway, so we passed this Harley Davidson shop on the right. It's daytime. And not long after I got past it, I felt an unction on the inside of me to turn around and go back to that shop. Well, that was a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'd never been to a Harley Davidson shop, and I had never been in a Harley Davidson shop. So that, I had a little bit of fear. Let's just call it what it is. But I knew what I was being unctioned by the Lord. So at the next opportunity where there was a divided turn, I crossed. And then when I got to the Harley Davidson shop, I pulled into the gravel driveway. But let me tell you, I was doing it afraid, but I was doing it because I was led to. And so I didn't pull really far into this gravel parking lot. I did not pull up to the shop itself. I stayed pretty far back, not far off the highway. I ran it through my mind, what should I do? I don't feel comfortable getting out and walking in that place. So I honked the horn, thinking somebody will hear me from inside and will come out. And I'm not really sure why I'm here, except I do believe I'm probably supposed to give them one of these tapes. That's what I was doing on this journey. I had it in my mind, okay, well, for sure, that's what I'll do. Well, no one came out. So I honked again. Now, it wasn't a long blast because, once again, I'm a little bit cautious here. It was just a little kind of toot on the horn, and still no one came out. So I was forced to honk a little bit longer and maybe more than once, like a double blast. Well, at that point, after that honk, the door came open and a man stepped out. And I rolled my window down a little bit and reached outside and did my hand like this, for motioning for him to come with my arm out the window, okay? Well, he started walking out to the car, and when he did, I rolled the window up all but just a little crack so that I could slip a tape out through that little crack. But I could talk to him through that opening and made sure all the doors were locked. So he comes out to the car and walks up to the window. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact words I used, but I said something along this line. I really don't know exactly why I stopped here, other than the fact that I was driving by. I said, "This is my mother. She's in her 70s." Well, actually, my mother was in her 80s. I'm sorry. This is my mother. She's in her 80s. We're making a quick trip to Florida. Um, I drove by here, but I was compelled to turn around and come back and pull in here. And I said, I'm a minister and I have a copy of a message that I ministered and I'd like to give it to you. And I handed it up to the window. Okay. And I've got to tell you, I was so uncomfortable in this situation that I wasn't looking up at him through the window. I was just pretty much looking down at the tape and saying what I had to say and not making eye contact because I was uncomfortable. This is the first time I'd ever done any such thing exactly like this. So I reached the tape out the window and I said, all I know is I've just got this tape. Maybe someone here needs this because I wanted to kind of leave myself a little out, like not make him think I'm pressuring him or anything. Maybe someone here needs this. If not, maybe you can pass it on to someone who does. Now, I'm not looking at him, okay? And I reached the tape out the window. And he took the tape from my hand, and I'm still not looking at him. And just a short, brief burst later, I hear sobbing. And I turned and looked up, and the man was crying like a baby. And I'm looking at him, and his voice was broken and so soft as he said through tears, "This is for me." And he was crying, sobbing. He said, "I had a heart attack about 10 days ago, and I spent over a week in the hospital, and I nearly died." Because I explained to him this tape is about supernatural healing as I got ready to hand it to him out the window. And he acknowledged, crying through deep tears, that he knew that was for him. Folks, you don't have to know what the outcome's going to be when God directs you to do something. If He leads you to do it, just do it. Even if you have to do it afraid. I was afraid. It was out of my comfort zone. but I know the leadings of my daddy God, and I can't go against them. I must obey him. And in so doing, and doing it afraid, the result was, and I got to see it, that tape was destined for this man's hands and for this man's ears because he had just suffered a massive heart attack. So there you go. That's one of the happenings in my lifetime. And I will continue this series and I will tell you more. I'll give you more insights into the amazing things God has done. God bless you.